Is this the most beautiful island in all of Magic? Let's find out. Hi everyone, welcome to the Pin Line. My name is Jesse. Last time we looked at Surgical Extraction by Stephen Balladin. Today we're going to check out that video on my channel. Today we're going to look at the island for Unstable, done by John Avon. One of his most known pieces and one of the most well-loved pieces he created, I think. So it's a bit of a safe choice, but nonetheless, I just, like a lot of people, really love it and thought, let's go beyond my initial emotional reaction and, sort of figure out why is this piece so interesting and so cool to look at and why do I really love it. So, yeah, let's get started. Let's dive in. So I have it here on my screen. Here's the card itself. Yeah, what are we looking at? It's a full art piece, right? So it's not a typical Magic frame that you see. And I think they did that because, they went all out with land design for this set. Unstable is sort of was one of those joke sets where the cards were really not legal in any kind of format, but they went all out with the land designs, and they chose these sort of unique frames to frame the land cards. So we're looking at this island. It has water, 2 rocks. Yeah, it looks like an island, right? So let's figure out what makes it stick. There's a couple of different versions I found online. So here's a crop that he put on his website, I think, with a bit more detail. So we can look at a bit more detail by zooming into the card, and the same goes for this version. This one is a print on aluminum, I believe, and there's only 100 of these prints available. He sold them on his website. This is also quite a high resolution picture, so we can look at a bit more detail on and into what makes this painting tick, I would say. Then there's also this artist proof. This is an artist proof because it's just the print. It's a proof that Wizards of the Coast sent out to the artist, and they just a print of the card on the front, and then on the back side just an empty card. So usually a lot of artists draw something on the back and then sell the card or sell these artist proofs to fans. So that's pretty cool. Here we can see a bit of a sort of pen drawing version of the design on the back here. So yeah, might be interesting to look at as well. So let's dive in. What is the medium? Yeah, it's a very painterly look, right? So I would say oil or acrylic. It's not really known. It's not. I'm not sure what it is. But it is paint. So not a digital piece, but a full painting. Let's look at the composition, the perspective, the lighting, what makes this painting work. So the perspective, right? We're looking at this from the ground perspective, or should I say water perspective. It almost feels like you're on a boat, right? So you have this epic sense of scale immediately looming, looming, towering rocks in the back, with a smaller island in the front. And it also almost makes you feel a bit tiny, right? Makes you feel a bit small, and it almost feels a bit scary, right? What is this? Is this going to drop on me, or is this really hard to climb or something like that? It really makes me feel a bit scared almost, but in a sort of exciting way. Where does this going to take me? What is living behind these rocks? So I think that's very interesting to understand. If it would be from the top, which he also created island designs where you look at from the top or from bird's eye view, it would be less exciting in a sense. You would understand more of what this rock looks like from the top, and how you would approach it or how you could walk onto it. But now it feels more mysterious, right? What is living in there? Are there things living here? Is there life here, or is it just a piece of rock pulled up from the ground? So I think that's really exciting. There's a lot of distance created and depth created, not only by the fog, right? So this aerial perspective, but also by, the birds and the other element. In the background here, we have the fog here. It's thicker on the bottom than on the top. So here's a bit of an overcast, like a bit of clouds here, but it's almost like the fog comes from, the splashing of all this water and the waves crashing onto this onto the rocks here. So that's very smart, and I think yeah, it really gives it a physical look as well. You know, this is the splashing water creates all these droplets rising up from the water. Yeah, really cool. We have the birds here flying, you know, across the scene. That's another layer. They're a bit, you know, bigger in the front and smaller in the back, so they fly towards this scene, which I think is smart. Really gives it another guide across the scene. And then we have the rocks themselves, which is sort of a very interesting shape. They sort of really work well together in terms of how they interact with each other, right? So they're almost similar in shape. They're like a sort of triangular in shape, but the one in the back is really, you know, really pulled out of the ground, and with you feel a lot of force in there. Whereas the one in the front, yeah, it's a bit more smaller, and but that really gives an interesting image to look at, right? It's very dynamic, and there's a really nice interplay between these rock formations. If you look at the lighting, yeah, that's again really amazing, I would say. It's sort of daytime. It's sunny. Light comes from the top here, and it falls onto all these elements across the scene. Yeah, the water, or the light is reflected on the rocks and on the water, and that really makes sense, right? It also helps to showcase this depth and sort of the vividness of the vivid nature of the image. If you look at this version and we zoom in a bit, you see all these specks of light on the rocks here, and that really gives it a sense, really nice interplay between light and dark and the shadow. And it also applies to the front and the background, right? In the front, you have these more darker waves. There's not a lot of foam at the top, but as they move towards the rocks here, they become more foamy, and they start crashing and rolling over and crashing onto these rocks. So I think very smart choice again to really focus the image while keeping it very interesting to look at really interesting to look at. You know, if it was just all the same type of waves from the back to the front, it would be less dynamic. Your eye would be all over the place probably. And now everything is really nicely centered in the middle. That's where your eye is drawn to. And then you start realizing, hey, there's more to it. There's this towering rock here. There's these waves in the front. It also has sort of a cozy or satisfying look to it. Overall, I'd say, I think I really would like to live there, go there and chill out there. That already think that the lighting and the composition really does that. You also see in the light that everything has this blue hue, and it also makes sense, right? Because it's an island, and the island really fits the flavor and sort of the color identity, of course. But I think that's also very smartly done. It's not, you know, if it would be a photograph, you would have more different colors probably in there, more warm colors in there. But I think by giving it this blue hue, very smart decision again. In terms of flavor, again, right? Yeah, it's an island, so of course it makes sense. But there's also sort of an otherworldly quality to it, right? These rocks, I don't know if they would exist on Earth, right? It almost feels like, hey, this could be on another planet or another place, and not just some earthly place. So I think that's really, really cool as well. It's not a typical shape that is very natural. I think John really thought about how can I create something that is otherworldly and is inside of a magic world and not just some earthly place. So my closing thoughts, yeah, what a piece, you know, one of my all-time favorites. And I guess I know why, right? It's that epic scale, it's the great coloring, the great composition, amazing lighting. Yeah, man, just get me there. Put me on that boat, and I want to live there. So what do you think? Anything I've missed? Hope you enjoyed this video. As always, if you have any comments or feedback, please leave them in the comments below. Really appreciate that. If you have any suggestions for a card I should look at or review, let me know. So yeah, maybe leave a like or subscribe, and hopefully see you next time. Cheers.